How's everyone doing today?
Good morning.
Good morning. Pleasure to meet you.
Same here, Rachel.
Oh my goodness, super excited that you all are here. So it might be a little bit of a smaller group today, which is a-okay. It gives us some time to connect. I know we haven't met before, Naveen and Kay, and I know Deborah, you're a staple here, which I totally appreciate. Okay, Belize jumping in now. Awesome. So Naveen, do you mind unmuting your mic and introducing yourself?
Sure. So right now I'm in India. I'm traveling, and I'm based out of Atlanta. We do fix and flips in Atlanta area, and now I'm looking to explore short-term rentals as a long-term buy and hold. So just wanted to know more about it. I'm new to this asset class, and just wanted to know more about it and see if there is an opportunity for me as a long-term buy and hold.
Nice, nice. Well, pleasure to meet you. So it's pretty obvious that short-term rentals is definitely an opportunity to accelerate your cash flow. And that's one of the reasons we started investing in short-term rentals when we compared it to long-term rentals. Long-term rentals, any major capital expenditure, then your profits are wiped out for the year sometimes, right? So with short-term rentals, we've seen anywhere from, I would say 3x to 15x are the gross revenue compared to long-term rentals. So I love that you're here to explore that a little bit. So yeah, today's style is definitely going to be a Q&A. I know I got a couple questions in DMs, and it's not easy for me to stay in the DMs, but would love to explore some of those questions with you all today. So we will have a little bit more of a Q&A style today. So with that being said, Kay, go ahead and unmute your mic and introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you.
Oh, hi, Rachel. I've actually been on your webinar before.
Yes, I recognize you.
Yeah, a few months ago. But I'm Kay. For me, I've been in real estate for a while, and investing on the investing side, rental, did some buy, fix and flips. And I'm just interested in learning about the short-term rental market because there's not a lot that I really know. And I said this the last time as well. You look on social media and, people are putting up these numbers, in reference to the, short-term rentals, but it's, how do you start? What are the regulation? What are the tips? Where do you look for the property? So, those are the things that I want to learn. So, that's why I came on, just to learn.
Yeah, smart lady as well. Yeah, you don't want to start it the wrong way. So you're asking the right questions in terms of the regulations. That is huge, a huge component of it. And one of the things we do in our mentorship is we spend a lot of time on the analysis, right? We're going to analyze the numbers to make sure that they make sense. And we're going to look at the regulations because sometimes there aren't regulations, as you probably realize. It's a newer industry in terms of Airbnb and going outside of the vacation rental market. So these are all great questions. And we have our staples here, Patricia, Deborah, and Bali. For the sake of everyone, I would love you ladies to go ahead and introduce yourself. Deborah, if you're able to unmute your mic and introduce yourself, we would really appreciate it.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Good to be back. Hope everyone's doing well. I am Deborah Edwards. I live in Durham, North Carolina. Recently launched a short-term rental that targeted traveling nurses. Am in the process of renovating two of my properties that were long-term tenants, renovating them so that they will be appropriate for short-term rental. And I'm going to be targeting nurses as well as potentially put one on Airbnb and see how that works for me. I've been watching certain markets for about 4 months, Smokies, Coast, just trying to really educate myself on where might be the best return for my investment, but have not pulled the plug yet on making a purchase in a vacation market strictly for short-term rental. I'm kind of scared, and these numbers are freaking me out, to be honest. But good to be back.
Good to have you. I love it. Valee, if you're able to unmute your mic, Valee, we would love an introduction from you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Okay, sorry, it was being stubborn. So I am Valee Stallberg. I am in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I also have been investing for a couple of years, fix and flips, long-term rentals, and then really wanted to slide over into the short-term rental space. I also got licensed as a associate broker realtor during COVID this last year, so I'm doing that as well. But my hometown is up in Kalispell, Montana, just outside of Glacier National Park, which is also a really hot market for all things real estate, including short-term rentals. Kind of side by side now with my parents up there, with my dad kind of doing the oversight of a property in terms of new construction that will be a short-term rental. And then I'm still looking for other properties up there to be able to both rental arbitrage potentially, because there is, as people are mentioning, legislation, et cetera, kind of on the books for some of those areas. So just having to be careful and knowing that if I actually buy something, it's got to work in terms of a long-term strategy as well, potentially. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you, Valee. And PJ, I am so happy to see you here today. Would you unmute your mic and introduce yourself to the people? Because I know you had a few roadblocks last time we spoke. I'm really crossing my fingers that you're able to navigate a little bit more. I know it's a crazy season, so go ahead and let us know, PJ.
All right. So I'm a nurse and an attorney, and I am really new to the short-term rental space. I purchased my first short-term rental in October, and quite honestly, it's not up yet because I work full-time and it's just a challenge to get down there. That's why I'm really looking forward to listening to what you say at Stacy Summit today. So I'm new. I'm in a niche near area, and it's a beach area. It's Ocean City, Maryland, and I just have to get there to get it done. But I am meeting with a contractor. A contractor is going to start doing work next week, so hopefully I can get it listed by the time we meet next.
Awesome. Yeah, we got to get that up and running, PJ, seriously, because every day you're sitting on it, and I'm sure you're thinking about it, is the day that it is not being profitable. So we need to get that first booking as soon as possible. So thank you for always tapping in, coming into this space on a month-to-month basis and bringing your questions. So with that being said, guys, I kind of wanted it to be a round robin, if that's okay with you, or if there's a specific subject matter you want me to teach on, I am open to that. I wanted to go ahead and let you all know that tonight, if you didn't see it in the Facebook group, tonight I'm interviewing the co-founder and CEO of AutoHost. And what AutoHost is a guest screening tool, more so for the corporate side of things. So Airbnb guest screening tool, that's very important. How do we de-risk the guests that are coming into the property and still provide, a 5-star stay? That is something near and dear to me. So we want our guests to have a great time, but we want to make sure that we are hosting the right guests to our property so that the property isn't damaged, fraud isn't happening in our properties, crime isn't happening. And so Ella Mezaborsky is the last name. She has some great insights on guest screening. So she decided to co-found or create this tool. It's a technology tool called AutoHost. Not that I'm promoting the tool, but it seems really interesting, where they do collect your ID. They take it an extra notch. And I know she has it primarily for enterprise level. So 18 properties and so on and so forth. But I think she has a beta product as well for those who are starting out. But the focus again is to come and ask those questions of, well, how do I, navigate? What if I feel like my guest book, but it's not that guest that's actually, showing up? I feel like something's off, something's uncomfortable. How do I kind of have those conversations with the guests within the chat, within the platform, in order to protect myself, in order to back out of the booking if needed? So those are the things that are real, actual things that occur on a day-to-day basis in terms of operations. And so bring your questions. Tonight, it is at a different time. We're at 8 p.m. tonight because I'm hosting a Q&A with the Female Virtual Summit at 7. So usually every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, I have a free training. We've had lenders come in. We have software CEOs come in. Sometimes I just train on what the data is sharing in terms of what are the top amenities that people are asking for and short-term rentals that won't necessarily break the bank that we could bring into our properties to ensure that 5-star stay, because 5 stars is really how we can drive our revenue up and make sure that we're getting paid top dollar. We can command the highest pricing or the best pricing when we have those 5-star stays. So with that being said, just want to confirm, did you all happen to see that invitation in the Facebook group? I don't, friends don't let friends miss out. Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is something that I feel very strongly about since I have been given this platform, PJ, to talk about short-term rentals, and a lot of these hosts or vendors, they do gravitate towards me because I've created this platform. And I know everyone's gotten a chance to introduce themselves. Let me just introduce myself if we haven't yet met, guys. So my name is Rachel. I am a healthcare professional by day, and that's why you'll see me peek here and peek there, because I'm on call. I'm off the clock, but I'm on call if something happens. And thank you for your patience, because sometimes I have had to cut it short if something's going down at the hospital. But I'm a healthcare professional by day, real estate investor by night, operating in the luxury short-term rental space out of Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and Pennsylvania. Most recent claim to fame is that one of our properties, AirDNA saw the numbers of our property. So when you say the numbers, yes, the numbers are high, and a lot of those numbers are true. So we took a property that was generating $1,800 a month as a long-term rental, renovated it slightly, lipstick. The ceilings were the biggest project, renovated it slightly. And we were able to rent it out for anything from $15K, and it went up to $28,000 a month. And so when AirDNA, which is the data platform, saw those numbers, they reached out to us as well as a casting crew. And so we are being featured on a Netflix TV show for said property. And so that's a little bit about me. We have really made a lot of headway in short-term rentals, and we started in 2019. So not to imagine yourselves and what your portfolio would look like 2 or 3 years from now, right? And so it doesn't take very long to scale your short-term rentals, but I did, after a couple of properties, I did sign on with actually Stacy, the owner of REI USA, to get real estate coaching from her. And I have so many coaches, you have no idea. If coaching was a career in terms of me being a student of coaches, okay, look, that is my life. So I have several coaches to help me move the needle from point A to point B, because every month, every quarter, I want to see that we're making progress with our goals, whether it's health goals, whether it's real estate goals, whether it's financial goals, so I do have coaches to help support me along the way, because I don't want to sit on things. I want to make sure that I'm making progress, especially here in 2022. So, but what I am most passionate about is helping busy professionals, create a life they do not need a vacation from. And so that's how I started my own coaching program, where I am looking to leverage just one property, because my goal is, how do I own and operate the fewest number of properties that generates the highest profitabilities? So you'll see my bro marketers and my friends who are in the short-term rental world who are like, yes, I have 200 doors and I have shiny object syndrome like everybody else. I was like, oh my $200. But that's not for me, right? I'm a mom. I got a whole husband. I got some kiddos. I got a job, a full-time. I'm in healthcare. So for me, it's how do I own and operate the fewest number of properties? And so my whole coaching program is based on 1 or 2 properties. That's it. 1 or 2. How do you get 1 or 2, and set it up so that it can essentially replace your income? So that's a little bit about me. Just want to make sure I introduce myself to you all. Okay, I see that you have a dental. So let's start with you. Kay, what specific questions do you have for me today? Because I know you have a dentist appointment. I see it in the chat that you have to run to.
Well, one of the things I would say, okay, so Rachel, like when you look online, you see these people, they're just accumulating all these Airbnb, and I think it's Airbnb arbitrage, right? So my question is, how do they find these properties to negotiate, the lease to Airbnb?
That's a great idea. So Kay, do you own a property right now?
Well, I partner with someone else, and we do own rental property, but it's long-term rental. It's not short-term.
Okay, so say you own a long-term rental, you are making net maybe $300 or $400 a month, and you're okay with that, right? It's not, let's say it's not a lot of work. It very well may be, but you're okay with that. And say, the lease is up, right, Kay? The lease is up, it's over, and now you're looking for your next tenant, okay? So if I were interested in your location, your property, me as an operator, I primarily own, but I do have some arbitrage. So me as an operator, I would come up to you, Kay, you and your partner, I say, Kay and partner, hey, it looks like you have a unit that is vacant. I would love to be your tenant, okay? I come to you and say, I would love to be your tenant. And if you're interested, you say, tell me more. Okay, I am a very unique type of tenant. I do not reside in the property, but I would hold the lease, and then I would host guests who are traveling to the location in order to do business, in order to visit family, and so on and so forth. So my guests are corporate executives who are coming to train at Panasonic. We have a big Panasonic place. Or my guests are corporate executives who are coming to interview for a week at TBS, or my guests are corporate or professors who are coming to teach at Georgia Tech. And I explained to you, those are my guests. And so therefore, in order for me to provide an amazing stay for my guests, your property needs to be in resort, hotel, 5-star condition at all times. And so I would need to look at your property to make sure it's a good fit. And if it's a good fit, know that that property will be cleaned professionally multiple times a month. Okay, it will be staged professionally, because if it's not staged well, if it's not cleaned well, I'm not getting a 5-star stay. I'm out of business, right? I need to stay in business. And so what we do in the short-term rental world, we will approach individuals who have homes who are long-term rentals, and we'll say, hey, we would love to be your tenant. Okay. And then when we approach and say, we would love to be your tenant, you can either say, you know what, that sounds interesting, but what about my rent? You will get your rent every month on time. We'll put you on auto pay, right? We need to make sure that you're paid on a month-by-month basis, because this is our business and we want to rent it within our business name. So my business is my son's name, Luke and Ethan, Luthen Enterprises. We will rent it under our business name. We will sign a 12-month lease. And if it's an area that we love, I'm willing to sign a 3-year lease or a 5-year lease if it is a great area. And so that is pretty much it. We will sign your lease, but I will add my addendum to outline that this is going to be long-term for you and me, but short-term for the guests that I'm hosting. Does that kind of help a little bit, Kay? Help kind of walk you through that?
Yeah, it does. It does. It's kind of like if you're renting a home, a regular home, and you sublease it to
Yes,
someone else.
it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that.
I
Absolutely.
now. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. And the thing is, I know people are like, well, the hesitation is, well, I'm not going to do that because, they're going to trash my place. But Kay, I kid you not, How many times have you walked into your space that has been rented for 3 years and you have to do a gut job because the place was mismanaged by the guests? They had kids, they had dogs, they didn't do anything. Listen, if a light bulb goes out, my property maintenance person has to change it right now. So let alone there's no like serious thing happening to the place that you would know about right away, right? So because
Right.
guests are going to complain, hey, I need this fixed, and we have to fix it right now because they're there maybe for 14 days. You can't tell them I'll fix it next month. That depletes their experience. It has to be fixed right away. So those are really important things, and it actually helps preserve the property. As long as the host is someone like me, someone like Valise, someone like Deborah, Naveen, we are in this space because we're getting that expert education to make sure we're operating correctly. You don't want that person who wants to kind of sublease to just be off the street. Oh, I just want to sublease, right? You want someone that who probably went through a program, who knows exactly how to do it correctly. Okay, does that help? Okay. Okay, you're on mute, but I think I kind of hit the nail on the head, and I'm sure that is helpful also to Naveen because he's just getting into it as well. All right, PJ has a question. Do you have product recommendations for TV and TV mounting resources in your Facebook group? Yes. So PJ, let me do this. Okay, Kay says thank you, and I know she's probably multitasking. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. Guys, as you can tell, I'm super passionate about this. Go ahead.
It's so interesting because I've gone through short-term rental courses. I've done it. I think part of me might just be nervous about like listing, and what if people don't like it, or what if it's not perfect, and what if it's not luxury? And I think I'm in my head too much.
You are. You are, because there's
money's going out the window every single month.
And I didn't want to say, look, PJ, I did not want to say it like that, but
no, it's true. Like I need to just pull the freaking trigger, and I'm just like so afraid, and so like, and I look at, and I think I'm looking at other people and how great their properties look, and I'm like, oh well, mine isn't like that great. It's not Netflix ready or anything like that, but I need to just get out of my head because I've seen like really bad listings.
Yeah, and you know what? And my computer's acting really slow. Not everything is Netflix ready. So I do help my brother with his. He has, a couple little apartments. They're not Netflix ready, but it's all about pricing and setting expectation. Hey, that listing would say, hey, I'm just looking to serve the travel construction workers, and you keep it simple. It doesn't have to be Netflix ready, but it just has to be sparkling clean. It has to be sparkling clean, right? And so if you want it to be luxury, you're going to pay. You're going to pay to make it luxury, but know that luxury, there are components, right? Some of the components have nothing to do necessarily with, the things that are in the property. Matter of fact, people don't want things, okay? Things are a little bit overwhelming, and they also, they give anxiety, and it's clutter, right? Luxury is a little bit more white spaces, clean lines, just open. So keep that in mind. But the modern luxury experience is not the accumulation of things. It's the accumulation of convenience, experiences, and connection. So important. So is it a space that has enough ample dishes, ample seating, so that the people who are coming there, if you say you seat 8, or you host 8, you want to make sure you have enough seating for 8 so that they can connect with each other. Or if you say you're an outdoor retreat type area, well, is it conducive for someone to connect with nature, right? Modern luxury is the accumulation of experiences. So make sure it's sparkling clean. If it does have some of the higher end amenities like a natural stone countertop, that's going to be in the luxury realm. But outside of that, it's the communication, You communicate with your guests in a way that's very, very high class, you know, and I have a team for that, guys. And I have automation for that. Trust, I haven't spoken to a guest, I want to say, in like 8 months, right? But we have guests in all of our properties right now. Well, I have a team for that. And the only time I need to intervene if something crazy has happened that is outside of the SOP, right? And so did you get a chance to see the, and yeah, PJ, if I can coach you real quick, and this is something I do with my students, like, why isn't it listed? Why isn't it listed? Why isn't it listed, right? Every day it's not listed, you're losing $200. I'm sorry, I said it. Every day it's not listed, you're losing $200. So if you have that kind of money to lose, I know I don't. So,
I'm married for love, I don't.
So I'm just going to coach you right now. Every day it's not listed, you're losing about $200 and $220. Because when folks come to your area, they're not just coming for the lodging, right? They're coming to do things, and there may be other opportunities and upsells. So I'm just saying. So if you look on my Facebook group, I do have this kit published in there. And as you can see, my arrow is kind of frozen. So my 2022 luxury Airbnb STR vacation rental essentials. So one of these two are published in there. And if you go in there, you can find items that I love to use in my units, okay? But to answer your question specifically, TVs, I'm not brand specific because every 3 or 6 months televisions change, right? But what's very important to me is that it is a smart Roku TV. That it is a smart Roku TV, because the Roku remote control are very easy to use. And when we switch all our TVs to the smart Roku TV, we stopped getting questions. We did get one question, where's the volume button, which was on the side, you know, but we stopped getting questions. So when you have all of the fancy pants, you know, remote control for this, and then the cable remote control, and then this, and then that, that is a really big vacation dissatisfier, right? So the smart Roku TVs are anywhere from $200 to $500 at Walmart. We just get a whole bunch of those. We're not getting like 4K this or 4K. No, smart Roku TV, it can get on the internet, and we put Netflix on all of them. And then for some of the higher end properties, we'll add Disney Plus. So Netflix on all of them. We have a Netflix account for the rentals, so they can enjoy that, or Disney Plus for just the higher end, the highest end units. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and you know, it's funny you mentioned this question. Well, you mentioned the cable. So my husband and I are like literally at war about this because he believes that we should pay for cable. And I just don't feel like we should pay for cable. I feel like it's a wasted cost. And even if someone's inconvenienced, but if they're on vacation, like I would imagine that, you know, the goal is not to be watching the football game, but in his mind, that's important. So I don't know.
And he may have a point. So I will tell you, we have cable in just one of the 18 units. And the beachfront unit, the reason, here's what I love about Airbnb. Airbnb is a case study, guys. You can do your own guerrilla marketing. I go to other listings in that market and I try to identify what are the top amenities. And if everyone has cable, you better believe I'm going to have cable, because I'm not going to be the outlier without cable, right? It's going to be worth it for me to demand the price that I want. But I do not have cable in any of my other listings. No, just no. But you are in a beach market. Does everyone else have cable? That is the question. If they have cable, I apologize, but you will need to have cable because you need to be at the top of search, because here's what's going to happen. They're going to filter, I want cable, I want this, I want that. You're not going to appear in search. I need you to appear in search because they may want cable. They may feel that it's important enough. They may want to watch football. And so when you have these holidays and Macy's, you know, it's going to be important to have that. And there are little workarounds to it. But if you're finding that more than 50% have cable, yes, you want to have cable. So study your market, understand where the gaps are, and fill those gaps. Because my friends, listen, if you can identify what are the pain points of the people coming to the area, and I do a whole my you know, signature guerrilla marketing grassroots search. I spend a lot of time looking at all the listings in that area. What are guests complaining about? I look at the listings, the pictures, I evaluate the pictures, I evaluate the copy, but for me, it's the guest reviews for me, the good, the bad, the ugly. If I hear everyone say, oh my gosh, they had 3 bicycles there, and this is beach, this is not going to be for the city, this is different locations, right? As you're branching into new locations, oh my goodness, they had 3 bikes, we really enjoyed it. If I see the word bikes keeps reoccurring, that's going on my list. Oh my goodness, guest communication was atrocious. I know that to tell my team, listen, be on top of guest communication. That's really important for this community, and it is important everywhere. If I see cable as a staple and like, oh my goodness, great cable, that's going to be on there. Non-negotiables, of course, are fast Wi-Fi. You already know that, and sparkling clean. But seriously, when it comes to, branching into a new market, it's really important to see what are the pain points of that market. So if you can find the pain points, if you can find the gaps, and then if you can respond to and close those gaps, you, my friend, have an opportunity to own that market. Do your research and you'll see what guests are complaining about and what guests are loving about that market. And then you can either emulate or create an experience that's going to meet those needs. I hope that helps. Yeah, PJ, really study the market. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's an activity we do with our coaching as well. I mean, it's free to do, right, guys? That's what I love about short-term rentals. All that information is out there for the whole wide world to see, right? It's like open source, so to speak. All right, so we got some questions going. Any questions from you, Naveen? I know you are our newest friend on the block. We're excited to have you. We are so happy that you're here. What questions do you have, Naveen?
Yeah, this is a pretty good session. Learning a lot from all you guys. But I wanted to know from a regulatory point of view, how do you figure out like different towns and cities? They could change their regulations as far as short-term rentals are concerned. So how do you kind of keep on top of that, and how do you mitigate your risk regarding that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Naveen. And that's an interesting exercise. And I think I actually did a full training on it. Give me 1 second, guys. And thank you for your patience. So Naveen, I did a full training in the Facebook group, and you will find, are you a part of the Facebook group, by the way?
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome. If you go to the guides section, I do a step-by-step on how to find regulations. Okay, my computer's acting up. I want to show you where to find it, but I want to talk about it as well. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so these are expert interviews. If you go to guides, let me see, short-term rental supplies, family friendly. This is my article on bigger pockets. On luxury, this is my other article on bigger pockets. On temporary housing, let me see. I don't see it here. Facebook, where to invest. Nope, I don't see it here. Oh, legal and regulatory. Nope. Huh, what happened, guys? Oh, you know what? I think it's actually, I presented it to this group here, Naveen, and so maybe it's in the replays section, but anyway, neither here nor there. So that is a loaded question. That is a difficult question, because you're going to see, Naveen, that sometimes when you look up an area to see, well, I wonder if I can do Airbnb here, and you look and you'll see like 50 Airbnbs, you're like, oh, great. Certainly I can do Airbnb here, but unfortunately that's not always the case. So I have someone who came to me from another program that they thought it would be okay. The coach said, yeah, you might be able to swing it. But I said, well, no, but this city clearly has banned Airbnb. And so, okay, thank you, PJ. PJ said, yes, it's in the REI replays. Yeah, so in the REI USA replays, Naveen, if you want to look there, and I know Stacy has been updating her YouTube channel with my replays, so it's in one of those where I go step by baby step on regulations. So don't think because others have short-term rentals there that it's okay, right? And so here's the first step that I do in order to look up a place, the regulations for a space. I actually will do a quick Google search. I Google STR, or actually short-term rental ordinance, and then I'll add the city, or short-term rental ordinance, excuse me, and then I'll add the county. Okay. And so what I'm looking for is the word municode or municipality code. So that's important for me because I want to read what the exact municode is. And the municode will tell me what's allowed in what zoning areas. If you will see potentially a lot of noise in terms of Airbnb, short-term rental party, or things like that, ignore those for now. You just want to know what the actual municipality code is. Because here's the deal, there may or may not be anything, right? So if I find it, I see it there, then I'll know. But if I don't find anything, my next step is to call the county clerk's office, okay? That is, call the county clerk's office and ask them, is there a short-term rental, or actually what is the short-term rental ordinance, and have them email it to you because you do want a paper trail. Okay. And if they say, well, there's no ordinance, then I say, hold on, don't hang up. Can you please let me know if there's anything in draft, because they have meetings every so often, monthly, bi-weekly. And if they have something in draft, that they want to put together, you want to make sure that you have access to that. As a paying, a taxpayer, you should know what your leaders are trying to do for that zone or for that area. And if they say there's nothing in draft, okay, that's fine. Now go to the zoning department and ask them, what is the short-term rental ordinance or zoning for a particular area? And if they, and just be a little bit more firm, I would say with the zoning, be a little bit more firm. Unfortunately, zoning, and no offense if anyone here is a zoning person, but they like to do things under the cloak of darkness. And they may say, well, what's the address and what's your name? And say, no, I am a paying taxpayer. I just want to know what zones, a short-term rental can operate in, or what zones where they're not able to operate. So you have to be that direct, okay? If you're not comfortable even making the call, I know a couple of, in Georgia, in Atlanta, I know a couple of individuals who are, I would call them like, not attorneys, but legal advocates who can make that call for you if you're not comfortable. And they're kind of firm. You kind of got to be tough when you're in the legal world. So they're like, no, you do not ask. You're not allowed to ask me, because we may not know what they're allowed to ask or they're not, but they're very, very direct, Naveen. And so when you ask that, then, they should, and you want anything they tell you to be in writing so that you can, have something in hand. And so that's where I would start. I kind of do, when I'm looking to invest, my first step is I find some areas, I find the occupancy. If it's a great area, I'll go with it. But when it's time for me to put earnest money down, that's when I go deep into the regulations of that certain area. To tell you that you can find a map that has, these are the areas to invest in. I wish that existed, but Naveen, things keep changing, right? Regulations are changing on a day-to-day. So that map, even if we were to create it today, tomorrow, it wouldn't be accurate. So I've seen a lot of companies try to create a map like that, and it's been kind of difficult. And if you ever need to, you're like, I need to be really, really sure, there's a company called Rent Responsibly. They've been helpful in the past. I don't know if they still offer this service, but they've been helpful in the past. And if you give them the specific address, because they go address, Each address is like, listen, my house is zoned differently from the house 2 doors down. That's how specific it can get. So if it's zone R5 versus R3, guess what? That may be impacted. And we've seen that in the Poconos. Like what it is zoned is how it's regulated. And so definitely an important question, Naveen, very important to pursue. My motto is regulations before numbers. So that is something that's good to know. But I will tell you this, if you are operating in a vacation rental market, let me say it again. If you're operating in a vacation rental market, I'm talking about beachfront, Panama City Beach, the Smokies, those places, typically you're fine. You may need a permit, but typically you're fine. But it's when we're in suburbs, you need to be very careful. And one more thing, HOAs. My model is usually just say no to HOAs with one exception. And the only exception is we're building in a beach resort type area. And so the HOA there, the primary purpose of that HOA is so that we can share like major amenities such as the boat slip. We can share the tram to the beach. We can share actually ownership of the beach. We can share. So that's the purpose of the HOA. And more than 50% of the properties are short-term rentals. That's the only way I will do an HOA is if in fact the HOA is there just to collect money so that we can share really rock solid, amazing amenities, pools, hot tubs, and all of that. Does that provide some insight, Naveen?
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate your inputs.
You're welcome. PJ, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Naveen, I don't know if you still have it on your website, Rachel, the information about the markets that have been successful for short-term rentals. I don't know if you still have it, but that's really a great resource too.
Yeah, I can actually type it in here. That's a good one. Thank you, PJ. PJ, you're advertising for me, lady. I love it.
You're so amazing.
Oh, I appreciate that. And that's why I love this space. I love to take my time and give value because I don't always. Okay, so it's shorttermgems.com/best2021. And I'm going to copy and paste it into our conversation here as well. And so Naveen, this is my freebie and my free top 75 US cities with the highest profitability for short-term rental investing in 2021. We're working on our 2022 list as well. And so just dive into it. It'll ask for your email. And once you get in there, you will have access to just like a plain Jane, what do you call it? Spreadsheet. I'm a spreadsheet girl. So it's a plain spreadsheet and it'll show you all the top 75 US cities on the first tab. But I'm a believer, if you can invest in your own backyard, try to invest in your own backyard, right? And so because of that, some cities and states that were not, represented in my top 75, I went ahead and found the best cities in those states. And on the second tab, I just wanted to make an honorable mention for those particular ones. So yeah, so check it out, Naveen, and then reach out to me. Let me know if you have any questions.
Sure, I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that, PJ. I appreciate it. All right, guys. So what other questions do you all have? I know that you all are here to learn and to work through. Oh, okay. Believe she went to not able to talk. And Travis, hey, Travis, nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us today. We're so happy to see you. We went through and did some intros. Would you mind unmuting your mic if you can and introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm Travis Foote. I'm a real estate broker here in the Woodlands, Texas. I've been an investor now since 2002 and looking into getting into these short-term luxury rentals like what you're talking about. So my question would be, have you used a service called Evolve?
Yeah,
for
that's
any of your properties?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've heard great things about Evolve, and some of my students, they actually purchased properties where Evolve was on board. And unfortunately, I hear mixed messages about them. So I haven't used them myself. I manage all my properties using a team that I kind of curate on my own VAs, my own cleaners, my own maintenance. And it does take a little bit of training to ramp them up. But no, I have not used Evolve. I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard great things and I've heard horrible things. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But that is the truth. So what I do teach and what I believe that we all can self-manage. And when I say self-manage, I'm a full-time healthcare professional and I have a consultancy and I do coaching. I've got a whole husband and 2 kids. I had to think, how many kids do I have? So that tells you. So you already know, but I self-manage, meaning I put in a team. I put in, I trained, my virtual assistants to respond to all of my inquiries. I've trained, my cleaners or found cleaners that were well-trained to maintain the property and to communicate effectively with our virtual assistants. And so, and I use some automations and I have a revenue manager on standby if anything needs to be tweaked. So that's kind of the whole thing, because I have a thing about, a company taking a percentage of my revenue, although Evolve is very cost effective, right? They're only like 10% or something like that. But for sure, yeah, I feel like we can do it on our own if we're able to get the systems in place. It does take some time though.
So can I ask another question?
Yeah.
What do you use to determine your occupancy rates before you're purchasing a property? Are you using like AirDNA or what tools are you using?
AirDNA is what I use to gauge my occupancy rate in order to make that initial investment. Okay, so here's the deal. AirDNA, it is a great tool, but it does have its limitations. And what I'm looking for in occupancy is a rate of 50% or greater. I'm looking for a rate of 50% or greater. If I'm at 50% or greater, perfect. If I'm at 49%, 47%, I'll probably still do it if it's a good deal, because when I take over a property, I can get it up to 90% if I want, right? Because I have the tools in place. I prefer, for my luxury larger homes, I prefer 75% because that is my sweet spot. After doing it for a few years, 18 luxury properties, 75% is my sweet spot. We need to get out of the long-term mentality as we go into short-term retirement. You don't want 100% occupancy. 100% occupancy indicates I'm priced too low. Okay. And then my product starts to have a wear and tear that I don't have the space and the space capital primarily to make those improvements that I need to make in between bookings.
Yeah.
So 75% is my sweet spot for my luxury homes. The larger the home, even 60% is a sweet spot, because when you look at the revenue you make at 60%, by the time you try to ramp that all the way up, are you really making a profit? And so when we evaluated the numbers, 60 to 75% is the absolute sweet spot for the 5+ bedroom homes. That's it.
Sweet.
So it's a different mindset, right? It's different. So it is not with long-term rental. I want 100% occupancy, right? With short-term rental, no. You do not want 100% occupancy. It can sit, it can sit a few days and still be wildly profitable.
Yeah.
All right. What other questions do you have, Travis? I'm so happy you're here. Oh my gosh, it's such a
Oh gosh, I could ask you a lot of questions. So, oh yeah, I can pick your brain.
Yeah.
So how are you handling the financing? Are you having an issue with banks? Are they doing the same 75% of gross rents or gross revenue that they're using towards the revenue of that property when they're qualifying you?
That's a great question. And so I hope you can take a peek when you get a chance in the Facebook group. So I just
Okay.
interviewed 2 lenders. I had a 2-lender series, so for funding. So my first go-to is I'm leveraging my W-2. I still work full-time as a healthcare professional. And do you mind if hang on, I'll be right back, guys. I have to go potty. I'm just gonna be, give me. We're all friends here, right, guys? Okay, so second home loans, I leverage that because of the W-2. The second type of loan I leverage is a DSCR loan. It's a 10% down loan, and it's a 1-to-1 if you have experience as a short-term rental host. So if you've been a short-term rental host for over a year, they will lend you 10%. It's a 10%. No. It's a 15% down DSCR loan. So debt service coverage ratio loan that we use. So our 2 vendors are Jeff Chisholm at, I think it's called North Point. And I did a Facebook Live with him. And Travis, are you a part of my Facebook group also?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I have the recording in there. And I'm going to copy and paste the link in here. Yep. So, so the lender, Chris Ledwidge at the lender, he does the DSCR loans, and Jeff Chisholm at North Point Financing does the FHA second home loans for short-term rentals. So check those out. That's what we've been leveraging.
Okay. Awesome.
And since you're just jumping on, just wanted to plug in tonight. I'm doing a teaching with the co-founder of a software called AutoHost. So that is a guest screening, Airbnb guest screening conversation we're going to have tonight. So I have a free live training in my Facebook group as well. So definitely check it out.
Cool. Thank you.
PJ, I see your hand is up.
Oh, I meant to lower it. I put the message in chat and you answered the question actually, which was whether you had actually used the DSCR, because I did see the training. I thought that was brilliant. I think I just have to hold my property for a year. And then after that, I think I could qualify for that. In terms of, you know, I know that DSCR loans are available. Have you ever considered a rental arbitrage? I mean, have you determined that that's an arbitrage? Well, DSCR is better than arbitrage. What are your thoughts about the differences?
I don't
Like, some people prefer to own, so I don't know if that's your
Okay.
preference because you're also thinking about
Gotcha.
equity or.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a girl who likes to buy and hold, but I do have 3 arbitrage units as well. And I do some property management for some of my higher end clients. So I love to buy and hold, but it depends on the market. If I can't find a home that is within a budget that I'm willing to budge on, I'll arbitrage. And that's what I did. That was a big pivot shift for me because I never thought that I would arbitrage, which is kind of like the sublet model. But when I saw, you know, oh my goodness, I am not ready to purchase my next property right now. Arbitrage all day long, absolutely. So I'll do it all. I'll do DSCR loans, I'll do FHA loans, I'll do arbitrage, I'll do co-hosting, I'll do turnkey if it makes sense, right? So the numbers have to make sense and it has to be in alignment with what my goals are. As long as it's real estate, hey, I'm open for it. As long as it's short-term rentals, I'm even more open for it because I do have the systems in place. Again, like I said, I'm the shiny object girl, right? Everyone, all my friends who have the 10 doors, I'm like, 10 doors, 100 doors, 20 doors, 1,000 1,000 doors. I'm like, oh my goodness, all these doors. I get excited, but then it's like, wait a minute, am I really going to collect $300 a month on each door and just be like working? Like I quit my 9 to 5 and now I'm working 24 hours a day. No, I rather 1 or 2 luxury properties. And that's where I come up with the mantra, how do I own and operate the fewest number of properties that generates the highest profitability? And that's what I found with niching in short-term rentals, specifically in luxury short-term rentals.
And as for your arbitrage, I mean, what is your, obviously, I guess is the first month's rent and then, and then whatever the deposit is, but what are you finding to be your average cost to furnish an arbitrage?
Yeah, it depends. So are you wanting to do it yourself or are you wanting to, put a team together? So the cost can be anywhere from $2,000 per bedroom. And that's me like doing a lot of the work myself, my husband chipping in, and I have some helpers that are chipping in as well, to $25 per square foot. And so that's the range, $2,000 per bedroom to $25 per square foot.
Me and to your other
$25 per square foot is going to be like a team, like you didn't lift a finger,
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Go ahead. I think you had one more question, PJ.
No, I was just going to, I think some of the challenges that some people feel, and certainly myself, I live in New York City. So in New York City, it's really tough. The markets are really high, but I know that some people have done arbitrage in New York City, but not inside New York City, sort of outside of New York, but in the suburb, Queens, like that kind of areas too. So just knowing the regulations, I think is helpful too. Thanks.
It's very helpful. And I would be very careful with New York, because when you are limited by the regulations and you're only allowed to operate 30 days at a time, that adds another layer of loss of profitability, right? Because with arbitrage, it's like commerce. That's how Dr. Chiagozi explained it in my group. So she's a big arbitrager, and Dr. Chiagozi, she has a whole, coaching on that. So she says like commerce, you go to Costco, you get the big old bin of paper towels and you sell them one at a time, that's arbitrage. So you get the property at a great rate and you sell it by the day. Each day is a unit. Well, if you are limited now, the regulations say you have to sell it by, 30 days at a time, that eats into your profitability. So I don't think I would arbitrage in New York, to be honest with you, because I'm limited. And so that would be a turnoff for me. But some people are doing it and they're successful.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, you're right. That's a great perspective. All right, guys, we're down to the wire. Any final questions? I haven't heard a peep from you, Deborah, or you, Vali. What's going on, ladies?
I did have one question for you,
Yes.
but I was just listening to everybody else's questions. With regards, when you say luxury, is that a bedroom number? Drive for? Okay, that's an accommodations.
Yeah, because you can be a luxury loft that's like a penthouse, right? So luxury is not a bedroom number, no.
Okay.
And so here's let me give you my little spiel again, and be sure to take a look at the bigger pockets. My 15 luxury tips that won't break the bank. It will actually walk you through what is luxury. Luxury has to do with several components. A $35 a night room next to my son's room right here wouldn't be considered luxury, right? Luxury is that's not luxury. But when it comes to luxury, we look at several things. We look at the curb appeal. That's going to, if we want to talk about actual things, there's an experience component to it. But if we want to talk about actual, very specific, tangible things, if I grew up in an underprivileged area in Miami, if I'm driving to the neighborhood to go to my mom and dad's house, and all the, neighbors and those who are kind of on the streets, they all gravitate towards my car looking like, who's coming into this neighborhood? That's not going to be a luxury stay. Okay, so that atmosphere, that ambience from the moment that they are entering into that neighborhood, you got to look around. Are there cars on stilts or whatever those things are? That's not going to be, you wouldn't be able to package it as a luxury property if the neighboring properties are kind of bringing down the neighborhood, so to speak. Okay, so that's going to be kind of a deal breaker. Quirky is good, unique is great. Like a dirty looking neighborhood is not going to really, you can't market it as luxury. So that's to start. So that is the tangible piece. The other pieces that come with the luxury stay is having the guest communication dialed in. The king size bed, again, you know, my soapbox, you've heard me say it over and over again. The king size bed is the luxury travel bed, right? It's the luxury travel bed. People want to stretch out like they're a king or a queen in a space. So the default luxury travel bed is a king size bed. I have a king size bed in all of my places, and I tried to implement multiple king size bed if the space can take it. So the king size bed is the luxury travel bed, natural fiber linens. Okay, and the price point is going to demand that luxury price point as well. So I typically stay in like a standard luxury range. I do have a property that's a little bit more of an ultra luxury. The ultra luxury is added services, you know, private chef, private pilot, like that's ultra luxury. That's not going to be everywhere, but standard luxury are some of those things within that article. So I have it linked in the Facebook group and the guides if you want to take a peek at that, Deborah. I know we're at the top of our time and I have to jump onto another call, but oh my goodness, what an amazing discussion, guys. I always have fun when I connect with you all. Vali, did you have anything before we wrap up?
Hey, no, I'm good. I've been multitasking all morning with kiddo stuff, so I apologize. But anyway,
Nope.
it's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome, guys. I hope you're inspired. And I hope to connect with you guys. See you tonight in the Facebook Live, hopefully, where we talk about Airbnb guest screening, how to protect your property. And I know for a lot of you who are property managers, that's really important. So we don't want any crime happening in our property. So I look forward to seeing you guys tonight. Have a good one. Bye for now.
Thanks, Rachel.
You're so